Alright guys, how's it going?
Hello!
Look where we are!
We are in the wilderness.
We have finally made it off grid. Why am I shouting? But more of that in the next episode, because today's episode is a very, very special episode. Even though we may be losing to the cruising, as the Narrowboat vlogs are concerned, we are certainly not losing to chaotic moments, are we, Bex?
So we decided to put out a poll to you guys to check out just how much you enjoy our misery and how you would rank it.
I mean, I thought it would just come back zero, you know, no one voting about our misery. Everyone wants to see the Nomadic Crobot happy, but no, you are sick in the head, Crobotians. Is it Crobotians? We had hundreds of votes coming in. We nailed it down to roughly 8 moments. There were plenty more.
So nobody ranked our hole in the roof high enough, so we chucked that one out of the bag, and we're going to start off at number 7. The array of flooring tools right here. Grab adhesive, check. Grab adhesive, gun thingy majiggy, check. Hammer, nails, wish me luck. Because it's all well and good when it's laid out like this, but now it's precision time, which is... One down, 100 or something to go.
Out of every job we've done on the Narrowboat, this one seems to be the hardest one, I think, because you get to a certain point when it's going really well and then this happens. So it all flows, amazing. But we come to this sort of section here, you can see a pretty big gap starting here, and it needs to be sat right up against it really. Don't get them all up again, what do you reckon?
Just snapped it, it snapped the board.
Where? Oh, that one. Sand it, sorry. Thankfully, we have a Becca in the house, and Beccas get things done. So yeah, Becca got it done, and it looked amazing in the end, didn't it? So to me, that was one of the most disheartening moments, definitely. I'm surprised it made it so low on the Crobotian ranking.
Tell you what, ripping out that floor was like ripping out part of your soul. After we'd put all this hard work into sort of putting it down, it was looking dead good. We were like, yeah, this is coming together really nicely. And then suddenly this massive rift started to appear between some of the boards, and it's like, no! It's one of those moments where you just have to walk away and breathe deeply for a few minutes.
Okay, so in at number 6, one of our first chaotic moments. So here we are, roughly day 4 owning the Narrowboat. That is sitting low in the water, isn't it? It's probably all that water inside its belly, isn't it? Little sister T, sister of the brother, my sister basically, came and visited us for a little cruise when we first got the Narrowboat back. And yeah, I think we've all done this, but I'm coming in pretty fast here now looking back at the footage. You ready? Absolute panic. Yeah. One more time for good measure, eh? And you wonder why there's a leak on the blooming thing, eh? Yeah, I don't quite know what happened there. I think, you know, everyone's probably done that, sort of 6 days into owning a Narrowboat, and you don't quite get the distances right. What do you reckon?
You just have to get a better grasp of manoeuvring something so long.
The reason we had that footage was because my mum and dad were actually there filming us. So I think I was sort of a little bit nervous as well. You know, you're trying to do the right thing and yeah, you just end up disappointing everyone. So in at number 5, 10 people voted for this one. I like this one, this is a good one. You ready?
I'm ready.
We're sick of the leak, you're sick of the leak, and we're going to take the boat out for the day. Well, for the weekend actually, aren't we? So our boat is parked behind this green Narrowboat at the back here, and we've got to do this turn and go straight ahead here. This I would say is one of my finest moments, one of my favourite moments, just being darn right horrible to poor old Bex on the front. Huh? You might need to push off the front, Bex. Can you not push off that front? Can you not push it? No? Where do you want me to go? I can't hear you. Come here. I can't go back. You might need to use the old stick. You might have to use the old stick. I can't hear you. It's all well and good. I've got an engine down here. I can't hear you. How's it going, buddy? She's hollering orders at me, but I can't hear her. I think think you need to sort of push it around a bit from the front, if you could. Wonder if to use that stick in the middle. Becca, I wonder if to use the old stick in the middle. Push off. No, the big one. I'm not too sure. I don't think she can hear me, and I can't hear her. It's a long old, it's a tight old.
Why don't you use the motor?
Bex, why don't you use the stick? She never listens. Oh, she heard that. She heard that. Use the stick in the middle to push off over there. There you go, we're off. Sometimes it pays in life to be horrible. Strict but fair. That's a saying, isn't it? So obviously I'm at the back with the engine and it's making a complete racket. I can't hear a word of what Bex is saying on the front. I didn't think Bex could hear me, but you could hear every word, couldn't you? So
I know, I was using what I felt was very like straightforward sign language to say, go back a bit more, go back a bit more, because the stick wasn't working out at that point. We needed to manoeuvre a bit more. But it's basically trying to get a van into a space the size for a Mini or something. You don't have much room for manoeuvre, do you?
No.
To get out of the marina, in fairness.
what we all want to know is, why didn't Bex pick up the stick? Anyway.
I had the stick. I had a stick.
The little baby one. You need the giant stick. You know this.
It wouldn't have worked, honestly, at that point. But to make matters worse, we had a whole audience there as well, didn't we? And that
We did, yeah.
Good God, she's just awful.
Pub was packed, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Just talk about putting yourself under pressure. So, next in at number 4, I mean, this has got to be the worst thing that has happened to this boat so far.
Only got 12 votes, so couldn't have been that bad.
I know, maybe it's not as devastating for others as it was for us. Let's check it out.
You got to chink it. So day one of the best days of our lives owning our very first narrowboat. What happened on day 2, guys? Huge panic in the Crobot Towers.
So yesterday, happened to notice an area of the floorboard that was cut away so you could see into the cabin bilge, and lo and behold, there was some water in it.
Day 2, probably the worst day of my life. We discovered this humongous leak under the floorboards, and we got out about 6 of these buckets worth before getting it back to the marina, sucking out another 10 or so buckets, and then dismantling the whole back room so that we could get under the floorboards, because there was not one inspection hatch anywhere to be seen. We had to rip all the floorboards up, and this is what greeted us. Yeah, it's every new boater's worst nightmare. I mean, it doesn't get much worse than this, does it? And it looks terrible, doesn't it? I mean, it's not as bad as it looks, but remember, we didn't have a survey, so we didn't really know the state of the hull down there. And this happened roughly 2 years ago now, so we had one hell of a job getting all the rust up, all the water out, and then starting the process of working out how we're going to treat the floor down there and how we're going to make it look all lovely.
This is the result of hard work, ladies and gentlemen.
So after we messed around with this back room, we thought we'd better turn to the next room, which was the bathroom.
Beautiful floaty home.
And this is probably about 3 weeks after owning the narrowboat now. So we ripped the floors up in here. The floor was the exact same mess as it was in the back room. We went to the bedroom. That was exactly the same too.
I don't think it is quite as thick. Oh, maybe not.
The kitchen also was exactly the same, so we carried out the process of months and months of ripping up all the floors of the entire narrowboat and rectifying what's going on down there. It turns out that this hole that we're treating is actually the old previous base plate, which is 8mm thick. Beneath that is a new base plate, which is 12.5mm thick. So in total, our base plate is like 20 odd millimeters thick. I don't think you can include them both, but we do. The last stage of this process was to get the Maverick to come down and just get the floorboards back down to make it just about livable. But you thought that was it? No, we still actually have got the living room still to do, and the other week... Welcome to our living room's bilges. Yeah, we had a little look down there, and yeah, it's exactly the same, so we're going to have to sort this out at some point too, but at this point we're pretty well... we know what we're doing now. We're just used to it now, aren't we? I think it just seems normal, really. Yeah, there you go. But where did the leak come from, I hear you say? Yes, it came directly from this little fella, Sopranella. No, Absolute rubbish. I just wanted to include her in the vlog because she's cute. So at the front of the boat, the bow, behind these steps, we have a bow thruster. That has the river's water running through it, and it's situated about half a foot away from our stove. So the heat exchanges in here are all over the place, and which led us to believe that it's probably condensation. We did run a leak check on the bow area, and yes, surprise, surprise, there was a leak. We corrected this by getting a cratch cover for the front of the boat. Well, I don't know if you can call it correcting, but it stopped water getting to that area. And yeah, water still got to that area. So it's got to be condensation, hasn't it, guys? Surely. But believe it or not, a huge positive can come from having a leak on the boat. Okay, let's do it. Yep, I get to use my wet vac, the Titan. Right. Yeah, he's 100% mine. Becca didn't put any money towards him, so yeah, mine.
Oh my god, I just remember the moment where I was crawling around in the cupboard, as you do, and I just looked down and I was like, whoa, I think we might have a problem here. And I could see this water sloshing about, and all that could go through my head was, how am I going to tell Chris? You think you were still in bed, and I just had to just work up the courage. And I remember coming over to you and sitting down, I'm like, don't panic, but I found something.
My heart completely sank when you told me that, because it was the worst sort of scenario after not getting a survey on a boat. And also, that's the moment I knew this was going to change from us becoming a cruising narrowboat channel where we were going to document all the rivers and canals nicely to sort of a DIY narrowboat channel. I never knew it was going to turn into a chaotic DIY narrowboat channel, but that's just the way it turned out, isn't it? Maybe the travels will turn chaotic too.
I'm sure they will. I think chaos just follows us, like, generally.
So in at number 3 with 15 votes, I thought this was going to be like number 1. Do you know what it is, guys? Can you guess? Here we go. The hatches became a huge problem for me, as you know. We purchased the boat and they were all a bit rotten and they wouldn't shut properly, and obviously we want to be able to lock them when we're on our journeys, so I ripped them all off. I mean, it was a nightmare getting them off. This is just making it look easy. This boat has 5 hatches, 2 roof hatches and 3 side hatches, so yeah, we're concentrating on the 3 side hatches here. The old spinning technique. Then we wanted to treat the area, which we used a rust repellent called Aquastil. We got the Maverick to cut up some lovely wood for us. I varnished that wood too. I mean, we're trying our hardest here to do everything as correct as we can, but we're newbies, remember, so things always go wrong, and these hatches constantly went wrong. We used an extremely strong adhesive recommended from the Maverick to stick these guys onto the narrowboat, but then guess what? They wouldn't shut properly, and the tops and bottoms you could sort of see in from. So 6 months later, we took it on ourselves to take them off again. I mean, this was all a little bit depressing, really. I put so much work into this. And then we decided to bring in someone under the name of Expert Chris, who came up and was going to sort the hatches out once and for all. So me and Bex kept sort of falling out a little bit over whether to screw these hatches right into the steel or if to use a strong adhesive. The Perflex was really, really strong, but they didn't have it in stock this time, so we used a different one. We bunged it on, and guess what happened the day after? There may have quite possibly been a reaction towards the Aquastil, the rust repellent, because, yeah, watch this. My lovely little hatches came tumbling off once again. Becca was away on holiday, so I had to take the matter into my own hands. The only way that we're going to get these to stay on properly is by actually screwing them in. So we screwed them in, but we didn't screw them in right, I don't think. I would have much rather done a sort of nut and bolt thing with a welder, but we didn't have the materials there at the time. I know, daft really. Anyway, the hatches are now done pretty much. Look, hatch 1 completed. I'd added all the little locks and everything on there too. Why do I think this isn't the last we'll see of the hatches? So yeah, they turned into a bit of a nightmare, and they're still a bit of a nightmare too, and they're still going to continue to be a nightmare forever, I reckon. What do you reckon?
It was a bit of a hatch saga, wasn't it? Like, bless you. There were so many ups and downs.
I mean, they're up now, and they lock to some extent. We are still going to get some proper hardcore locks for them, but they lock to some extent, so we're happy with them for now.
So in at number 2, we are welcoming back one of our celebrity guests.
So we'll go. It'll be slightly bigger, it's up here.
So the Maverick can fix absolutely anything. We've called upon him so many times. Jack of all trades. Always that little bit of doubt where, you know, something might go a little bit, but it'll always get fixed. So the original leaky tank was removed. So the Maverick is down, guys. A little bit of confusion with the tank. It kept leaking, it couldn't be fixed. We had to get a lovely shiny new one. Yeah, I think it may have quite possibly been the wrong style tank for a narrowboat because this happened.
Not a plumber.
Yes, today you are a plumber.
It's starting to get a bit of water in.
Ready for it to explode on the spot. Beautiful, isn't she?
Oh, she works.
Starts gushing out. Okay, so here we go. So I thought it was all going pretty well until...
I'm not in the mood. We'll talk about it later when I know what's wrong.
So the bottom of the tank started expanding and the bloody thing came tumbling out the door. So what happened, Maverick?
I broke it.
We'll go back to Screwfix and return the faulty tank and get it replaced for a non-faulty tank.
Yeah.
Go, Maverick, go! The Maverick. And still to this day, we have not got another hot water tank yet, have we?
We haven't, no, it scarred us for life. No, only joking.
Not 2 years ago now, isn't it?
It is something like that.
We've got to get the Maverick back and get this sorted, don't we?
We do. Oi, Maverick, get over here.
That brings us to the final moment, number one. This is disgusting. You guys are sick in the head. How could you vote this at number one? Do you know how many votes this one had?
How many?
This one had, all the others were like 10, 12, 4. 55 votes this one, so...
It definitely like
It
outshone everything, didn't
There
it?
was something wrong with you lot. I didn't think it would make it that high, this, but I know it was a horrible little moment. But...
People could understand my pain.
One of the first things Beck said to me when we bought the Narrowboat was that she wanted to use reclaimed materials. So when it came to refit in the kitchen, what better chance but to go full steam ahead. Her mission was to use recycled scaffolding boards. Recycled? Well, just scaffolding boards, and she was going to basically repurpose them completely... what's the word? Revamp them and make them look like vintagey rustic worktops. You see these things on boats sometimes and in the backs of pubs sometimes as well. She spent absolutely ages on these little bad boys, months and months sort of cutting into them, all little tricks to make them sit really well together. Yeah, she'd really put everything and more into these. They were her little project and she'd gone all out on it.
This is possibly the most terrifying thing I've ever done, like when you're so invested into a piece of work you've done.
And then, yeah, old numbnuts here tried to put the sink in for her, and yeah, something happened, didn't it? Oh. 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 I ruined it, whatever. Thankfully, she done a little bit more sanding and gluing, and she sorted it all out, and now it's looking all lovely. I felt awful, I know, but...
Did you?
Oh, my heart sank, you know, you'd spent like 6 months on this, like you'd spent a long time, not like fully, but, you know, it was an ongoing project for a long time, but when I looked back through previous footage, there was a little crack on there already, I reckon.
What? Yeah, no, that's the reason. I'm joking. No, there probably was a weak spot, and it was an accident. It's one of these things that happens.
I actually thought it was you originally because I lifted it.
I know.
And then I thought, what have you done?
Yeah, I know, because I think you said that, and I was like, pardon? Oh, it's not blooming me.
So there we have it, you sick people. That was our top 7 most chaotic narrowboat moments, and here's to another.
Yeah, let's see if we can top it in the future, hey? Give us another year and we'll see what else we can bring to the table.
If you do get the chance, guys, please try and subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. You just click on the bottom right of the little screen, I think, and it just helps grow the channel, really. So we'd really appreciate that. Over and out, guys. We will catch you in the next one, and we'll show you how this little off-grid trip went. Take care.
Bye!